Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Daniel Tisdale. I am a senior sales engineer here at Bigeye, and I'm looking forward to walking you all through a little bit about Bigeye and then get into a quick demonstration and then be here to answer any questions as well. I'm very excited to give you all a quick run through of first who is Bigeye, what do we do, and then get into the demonstration. Really, at a high level, we strive to really create trust in everything that you're building with data. Now, what does that mean? So, Bigeye is a data observability platform, and we span many different personas, including data engineering, business analysts, any sort of data stewards, governance personas, really to help collaborate on keeping all of your data fresh, accurate, and ultimately trustworthy, right? No one wants to be able to make any sort of business decisions based off of data that's inaccurate or bad. And that's really one of the high level goals of Bigeye is to be able to empower users to have a high level of trust in their data itself. So, for those of you that aren't super familiar, what is data observability? So, data observability is real time visibility into the behavior of your entire data estate from the origin of your data, so in those source systems, through all of the transformation logic that occurs in your pipelines, like business intelligence tools, Tableau, Power BI, Looker, any sort of machine learning models, as well as we move as an industry rapidly and quickly into the world of AI, any sort of AI applications as well. And there's numerous benefits of why an organization would explore a data observability platform. Some of the high level ones include really helping you identify some unknown unknowns, as well as touching on the business impact of these various data quality issues, efficiency, so being able to speed up the time for data engineers to really focus on building new pipelines, and then ultimately, again, being able to have a high level of trust of your data assets, wherever those might span. Now, under the umbrella of data observability, there's a few main components to it. So, one of those being data lineage, so being able to accurately see where is data flowing from and to, down to a column level perspective, monitoring of your individual data pipelines, then data quality monitoring, which would include building different types of metrics on your data sources. Again, being able to go down to column level type of quality rule or metric. And then one of the big components of data observability also includes anomaly detection. And we'll see this in the demonstration. Bigeye has a very robust machine learning anomaly detection to be able to allow you to see whenever there's any sort of shift in what has historically been shown in the shape of your data. So being able to be more proactive about that and not have you have to essentially set up more kind of hard coded or customized rules that have to be maintained and managed over time as the shape of your data naturally changes. So here's another slide, really taking you through the full end-to-end vision of where Bigeye sits, as well as what are the different parts of the data ecosystem that Bigeye is able to attach and add any sort of monitoring and visibility to. Over on the far left, databases. So Bigeye's got a very robust library of being able to connect to various databases. And that spans both more of the legacy systems, an Oracle, a SQL Server, as well as cloud, modern cloud databases. And then once you've been able to connect to your upstream source systems, those databases, being able to monitor and really have good visibility into what is happening inside of any sort of ETL or transformation tool. Because it's one thing to be able to monitor a source system, but how is your data changing as you've applied some custom business logic to it, done some complex transformations? We have the ability to monitor common tools like DBT. We've recently introduced a few new connectors actually within the last week or so on the transformation side. That includes ADF or Azure Data Factory, Matillion. We've got connectors into Informatica, Power Center. So numerous different ways for us to be able to connect to both legacy and modern ETL tools. And then once you've gone through that transformation logic, having that data be accurately represented and have a high trust and quality score once it's getting transformed and prepped into a modern cloud warehouse. So the two big players on the marketplace, Snowflake and Databricks, we've got very easy to deploy out of the box metrics and monitoring and connection strategies to Snowflake and Databricks. And of course, we also have connectors into other modern solutions as well. So the entire kind of Azure, stack, we can connect to those systems. And then finishing off this slide here, being able to make sure that the data that's feeding those critical business intelligence dashboards and those reports that people are making critical decisions about their organization off of. So we can monitor everything that is going into a Tableau or a Power BI dashboard, again, down to the actual data definition of the views or tables that are feeding those dashboards, so that you can have a high level of trust that the data that's going to be displayed on those dashboards is gone through some sort of rigor of quality testing. And if there is an issue, being able to easily identify where that issue first originated so that you can fix that issue in a timely manner and not have unnecessary downtime as a result. Now let's talk about ROI for a bit. One of the big things that organizations really struggle with whenever they're encountering any sort of kind of data quality issue or downtime, one of the biggest metrics that we see that's important to track is all around mean time to resolution, right? So over our customer base, a lot of customers have been able to see a pretty massive decrease in the percentage time that it takes to actually resolve these issues, which ultimately reduces the cost, makes your organization more efficient, and allows, again, data engineers, data analysts, really any persona that is going to be intimately interacting with the data, the ability to work on those cool and fun projects that they want rather than having to fix data quality issues there. That's one of the biggest kind of metrics that we use to track success with inside of the Bigeye platform. And again, it all boils down to dollar and cents saved, as well as just overall hours that organizations are having to spend unnecessarily on data quality issues. And last thing I wanted to touch on before kind of jumping into the demo here was just letting you know you're in good company. So you can see up here on the screen that Bigeye's got a number of very large enterprise companies that we partner with and that are actually customers of ours that leverage Bigeye's platform for their data observability needs. So we span every industry: banking, insurance, healthcare, retail. So as long as there's a way for an organization to be able to connect their data to Bigeye's platform, we have a solution to be able to help your organization with their data observability needs and journey along the way. I'll also touch on security a bit, but just from a security perspective, Bigeye has many different kind of security certifications in place to make it so that you can feel confident that you can trust Bigeye to be the vendor of choice and the platform for you from a data observability perspective here. Perfect. Wanted to now switch gears a bit and jump into kind of a quick high level demo of the platform, and then we'll leave a few minutes here at the end to ask any questions that the group has. So let me flip over to our demo environment here. Okay, perfect. So this might be a familiar screen to some of you on the call. So what we're looking at here is we're just looking at a Tableau dashboard. This is all retail-based data. And by just visually looking at this dashboard, I can see that within the last quarter here, looks like there's been a big drop off in how many orders we have and subsequently the average price per unit. But I don't have any way of knowing, is that expected? Is there some sort of data quality issue that's feeding the dashboard? All I can do is say that, something looks a little off, a little funky visually compared to the historical patterns of the data, but I have no visibility into whether that's expected or not. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop open this Bigeye browser extension. And this is really the first place that an analyst can go to understand what's the trust score or the health score of this dashboard here. And I can see that we've got a few key metrics that are giving us information and details into the health of this dashboard. So right up here at the top, we can see that monitoring deployed is around 70%. So that means that the objects, those data fields that are being populated into this Tableau dashboard, we're doing a decent job of actually making sure that there's some level of monitoring or Bigeye metrics that have been deployed on those various columns and fields there. So we're monitoring 12 of the 17 objects. But out of those objects that we're deploying monitoring on, only 23 of the 35 metrics are healthy. So we've got 12 metrics that have some sort of data quality issue. So from my perspective, I would say I probably can't feel confident in being able to trust the health of this dashboard because we've got 12 data quality issues on this specific dashboard. So I wouldn't want to, take accurate and make accurate business decisions based off of that. So now how do I go and really identify, okay, what are those 12? Are they critical issues? Are they maybe issues that we know about that we can bypass and actually make decisions off of? And so as I scroll down this browser extension here, I can see the data broken down in a little bit more granular level here. This is telling me that the data is complete, so that's great, but it does have unexpected duplicate values. So that means that somewhere along the path of all of our source systems to ETL tools, transformation of the data, something has resulted in more duplicates than we would expect. The data is valid, and it also is telling us that we have some unexpected value distributions. And then right down at the bottom here, I can start to see some more details around the issues themselves. So again, we've got 12 data quality issues broken down into two categories. One issue is a pipeline issue, and a pipeline issue for everyone's benefit would be either a freshness based issue, so making sure that the data is up to date based on historical patterns of how often we are expecting data to be refreshed. So if we get data loads into our warehouse once a day and that time period has passed and there's no new data, that could trigger a freshness type of issue. And then the other type of pipeline issue is all around volume. So let's say we did get data that came in at kind of the regularly scheduled interval that we expect, but as opposed to getting 5 million records on a daily basis, we only received 5,000. So that would trigger a volume-based issue. And those are the two that are grouped under pipeline. And we can see that status right now is in a triage state, meaning that really no one has acknowledged the issue. No one's actually working on it. So this is, again, a good indicator for anyone who's looking at a dashboard, the business analyst who's preparing the dashboard for a critical meeting, to see, has anyone been notified of this? Are people actively working on it? And then once we go a step further, we can see that the data quality issues, so these could be business logic type rules, these could be null checks, duplicate checks, looking at the average value of column. That's where we've got the bulk of our issues. So we've got 11 issues on quality. Again, all 11 of those are set to a triage status, again, meaning that no one has actually started to work through those issues. Both of these are clickable links here that I can click on. This will take me into kind of that full list of open issues related to that dashboard. And this is where I can start to work through that backlog of issues. I can sort by which ones are the most recent, which ones are considered highest priority, which ones are root cause issues. So this is a great way to really be able to start to prioritize and work through those critical issues there. So from here, I'm going to jump into the lineage part of the Bigeye platform. And what we're looking at here on this lineage graph is we've got that same Tableau dashboard we were looking at, that critical dashboard. And we know that we've got some data quality issues. So how do we go about actually resolving and really understanding what are those specific issues? Where do those issues occur? So that we can start to fix those as quickly as possible. So we can see that we've got one layer of Snowflake, and let me expand this here real quick. So we've got one Snowflake table called sales dashboard that's feeding into Tableau. That's being built off of this replication layer of Snowflake that has two tables, and we're then performing some ETL through dbt to consolidate it into a single table. We've got our Informatica Power Center job or set of jobs here. And all of this data, all the way upstream, is being built off of an Oracle transactional database. So this could be our POS system that's feeding and collecting all of the information at an individual store level. And then we want to take that to put it into our Snowflake warehouse. So if I click on expand all nodes again, that's going to present me with all the way down to a column level. What are the different health checks or scores of the various columns? So if we look at this sales dashboard here, we can see that we've got 4 columns, 2 of which are healthy, so that's awesome. But 2 of those columns have some sort of data quality issue on them. So price per unit, you can see this one's telling me that we have 2 issues on that. Now, if we go up a level and we look at our replication layer, there's actually 5 data quality issues at that layer. And this issue, or an issue on price per unit, originated all the way upstream in Oracle. And that's why this one's highlighted in red. So that means that's the first time that we saw a data quality issue with the price per unit column. And so that's ultimately where we would want to first diagnose and fix that issue, so that same issue is not propagating down any of the additional layers as we're transforming the data. Same thing for the quantity column here. So we've got an issue at this layer. We can go up a level and see that issue is also there. So how do we go really identify what are the details of those issues? So we know it's an issue. Is the issue critical, or is it something that we can bypass? So I'm going to click on this quantity issue here. And that's going to take me to the list of issues for that quantity column. So in this case, there's just the single issue on that table. And this is telling me that we're seeing the average value is too low on the quantity column, meaning that whatever that current observed value is significantly lower than what it has been historically. And so we can actually see that in this time series based chart. So this metric is running on a daily basis. The black line that's shifting a little bit is giving us the observed value. And then the gray bar that's also shifting is the machine learning anomaly detection that is showing how the model is changing what is considered acceptable or not on a daily basis. And so everything was looking great within an acceptable range up until yesterday. That observed value has now dropped below what was considered acceptable, and it actually went negative now. So we're now seeing an observed value of negative 1.4, which has now generated this issue. So this description up here, this is leveraging some generative AI that we have in the platform, and this helps really summarize the specific issue so that anyone who's responsible for fixing it has a really easy way to have some context about that issue. So it tells us when it was first detected, what data sets being affected, if there's any sort of correlations between various columns. We're seeing a correlation between product type, price per unit. It's even able to scan some of the details of the affected records. And it's identified that data in New Mexico specifically is showing a higher frequency of anomalous rows. And then because we're able to scan your ETL jobs as well, it's even giving us some recommended resolutions. So now I have good context on what the issue is. If I want to go and resolve that issue, I can click on this tab. And this again is leveraging some generative AI that we have baked into the platform here. And so what I'm seeing at the top is 4 suggested resolutions. So based off of this data quality issue, we're giving you 4 data quality potential resolutions to this issue. So first one, verifying the ETL's filtering logic. And what's great is I can mark whether that worked or that didn't work so that you have historical context if there's a similar issue in the future. on what were the steps that you took to actually resolve that issue and then ultimately speed up the time to resolution there. This data diagnosis section, this is telling us where we're seeing correlations between various columns. It's giving us what's called a debug query. And the debug query is just giving you the affected records. So I can download those, I could preview those in the browser, or if you don't want to enable that, I can always copy this to clipboard, take that into Snowflake or Databricks or Oracle, wherever that's occurring. So I can preview those affected records. And then we can also see the ETL analysis. So this is where it's scanning through the ETL job, and it's telling us that there's potentially a logical error in the where clause. So we could do some things to harden that specific ETL code. And so this really speeds up the ability for you to resolve any of those data quality issues and make it so that you're not spending a long time first identifying them in the first place, and then secondarily actually having an accurate fix for them. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on real quick, and then we'll open this up for some questions, is it's great to have automated resolutions, but beyond that, what can we do from a preventative step to make sure the same type of issue doesn't happen again? So we can see on that sales dashboard table, we've got this preventions section. And so this is actually giving you suggested preventative actions that you can take on this table to make sure this same type of data quality issue doesn't occur in the future. So there's 4 suggested preventions. Consider adding a distinct clause to prevent duplicate rows. So I could mark this off if I've done that. And that gives anyone who has access to Bigeye context on what were the steps taken to make sure that this same type of data quality issue is not occurring again in the future. So very cool new features that we have around some of the resolution steps and the preventative steps. I did want to start with one of the common questions that we get asked is, can you connect to this system or can you connect to that system? So we have publicly accessible integrations page on our website that you're able to access to see our list of integrations. As I mentioned, we recently released new connectors for Azure Data Factory, Matillion. So we're always bringing new connectors to the marketplace. And Bigeye has one of the largest libraries of both modern as well as legacy connectors. So that's where we really are able to give organizations the ability to still monitor their legacy on-prem systems as they're moving and migrating into the cloud. So feel free to check out the integrations page. That's constantly updating as we're pushing out new connectors, both from the database side, the ETL side, and the BI side as well. Another question I'm sure everyone is wondering is all around the security pieces that are in place to make sure that your data is going to be secure when you're working with Bigeye. So one thing to note is as far as individual data that's stored in Bigeye's platform, we don't store any of your record level data in our platform. So there's an agent that would be deployed inside of your VPC, inside of your infrastructure. And with that agent, we're just going to be receiving back the aggregated metadata. So that those values that would be shown on that time series based chart. We're also SOC 2 Type 2 compliant and ISO 27001. So we have some of the most stringent security certifications in the marketplace to ensure, and you can see from the list of customers that we have that we've got some very highly regulated industries that work with Bigeye to be able to accurately and quickly resolve any of their data observability issues. Another common question is, how long does it take Bigeye really to get set up? So the agent, that deployment is fairly lightweight. You just have to have the agent deployed in your infrastructure, and then you're able to quickly build data quality metrics as soon as that is accomplished. So it really could be within a number of hours that you're able to start getting value out of the Bigeye platform. And then as we wrap up, I know we've got a minute left here. If you're interested to learn more, how can you talk to someone at Bigeye? You're able to connect with anyone on our sales team. And then from there, we can set up a more customized, specialized demo led by myself to walk through exactly what your specific use case pain points are and really be there to be a helping hand to resolve any of those issues that are plaguing your organization. Awesome. I know we're at the bottom of the hour here. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Happy to answer, and please reach out. We're eager to help you all with any of the issues that you're experiencing. And just want to say thank you to the participants. Thanks everyone.